share it on the group a little bit later. Okay, so we're now recording. So good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's members-only webinar with me. And tonight, as always, I put out on the forum ideas, really, for the webinars. And I've chosen tonight to strip it back and go back to basics. So for many of you, this will help you greatly. I know that lots of people are now beginning to get deals or even on their second deal, but some people are still looking for their first deal, so that's fine. So this covers everything. So I think a little bit of a tutorial on one of the first workshops that we did. So we're going to revisit that tonight, and it's going to be my top 10 tips really on how to help you move forward, and it's going to go back to basic level. So I hope that you find that beneficial. Now, in true form, we always ask you to keep it interactive, folks, because the webinars are really good. They're full of energy, but they're only as good as you make them. So what I'd like you to do, please, if you've got any questions, just type them into the questions tab on the bottom, and we'll get around to them sort of as we go along and as we go through the webinar. So very quickly, I know that, hi Steve, just said hi. I'm guessing that you can all still hear me okay. You can see the slides, and there are no issues. If that's the case, then we will crack on with tonight's webinar. Now, before we start, I put on the couple of offers on the members forum over the weekend, and the first one being my book is almost ready to be published. And what I'd like to do is give everybody on the forum the opportunity first to be included in the book. So I did put out there and asked for volunteers that people would like to be included in the book, and I got a really bad response. And I was very surprised by that, folks, because being in a published book, which is available on Amazon, I thought would be a great opportunity for most of you. So before we start the webinar, I'm going to put that back out there again. All I'm looking for is a half page, and I will do it on a pro forma, send you a pro forma Word document where you can just give me some information about you, your journey, about what you're trying to achieve and how the program's helped you so far. And what we'll do is we'll take a look at that, and then we'll hopefully publish. I was looking for about 3 case studies, but I'm quite happy just to do 1 or 2. So I didn't have a particularly brilliant response. I had a couple of people, and thank you for those. I'm not going to name any names, but I was looking for a little bit more. So please, if you'd like to reconsider, and if you'd like a little bit of publicity in, Steve's saying the sound is poor. Okay, sorry, Steve. I'm going to change that. I'm going to just take away. Bear with me a second. I'm going to see what I can do regarding the sound. I am doing this with some in-ear headphones this evening. I've never used them before, so bear with me. I'll see if I can make that a little bit better for you. Okay, just going to pause the screen, folks. Okay, just bear with me a sec. Okay, hoping that's better for you. Steve, can you give me a little bit of feedback on that? I've just changed the microphones over, so hoping that's going to be a little bit better for you now. Much better, sounds better. Excellent. Sorry about that, folks. I normally use a headset, and I left it in the office. So, of course, I haven't got that tonight. So I thought perhaps it would be better if I used my son's little Apple AirBuds. Obviously, that's not the case. Okay, great. So where do we get to? So, yeah, I'm just recapping on giving you the opportunity to, be included in the book. It'd be great for you going forward to be in a published book. You can help raise your own profile going forwards. And, of course, you can use it yourself as a marketing tool when you're in networking meetings. When you're talking to other people, you can say, look, I have also been used as a case study in a published book, and you can give them a copy of the book if you wish, or not, as the case may be. So please, have a look at that on the forum. If you are interested in that, please come back to me. Now, this isn't a sales pitch. I'm not going to get anything from this. I want to over-deliver in the true case, as we do, in the forum, get you as much value as possible for all of you that are on the program. Okay, so next thing I posted as well last week is I am going to be holding some mastermind sessions just for members of the group. And this is free, folks, again. So it's only for members of this group. It's not available to anybody outside this group. I've not decided on the date yet, but there is a thread on the forum, and I posted on there for expressions of interest because I need to make sure that we've got the right dates and we've got enough people coming to make it worthwhile. So I'm quite happy to do more than one, but I'm looking for a minimum of 8 people per session. And what we normally do with this kind of setup is start about 11, so it gives plenty of time for people to travel. And from 11, we begin and we give everyone about 40 minutes or 45 minutes, and we just go around the table and we discuss your concerns and your needs and anything at all that we can help you with in your investing journey. And everyone gets 45 minutes. So not only do you get your own direct slot with me, you also get to benefit from everybody else's questions as well. And it finishes about 5 p.m. It's not a presentation. There are no slides. There's nothing to watch. It's literally just true masterminding in the true sense of the word. So it's about discussing your issues or any obstacles you might have right now. Now, we're not charging for that at all. It's completely free. But what we have asked for is a donation of whatever you see fit for Worcester Wizards Disabled Football Club. So that would be great if you could see to donate, anything at all. It's entirely up to you, whatever you think the date is worth to you. Lunch, we can go down to the local pub and we can have a nice lunch. You will have to pay for that yourselves, as I say, because this is a non-profit, and then we can continue the masterminding over lunch and then come back. So really nice day out. It's likely it's going to be on a Friday, because I think Friday is the most versatile day for most people and it doesn't then disrupt your weekend. So I think I've had about 6 responses. I do need a minimum of 8. If we have more than 8, then that's fine. We can run it over 2 sessions. But this is a massive opportunity for you. As I say, it's free of charge completely. So, it's all about paying it forward and hoping that I can help you move a lot quicker with your journey. So you can find that again in the forum. Okay, so if you keep the questions coming in, then if you've got any issues, then you can obviously you can type them in on the question box and we can come back to them in a little while. Okay, right. Let's start with tonight's presentation. Okay, so I'm going to minimize my question bar, folks. So if you have got any questions in, I'll come back to them in a second. Tonight's webinar is going to go on probably about 50 minutes, 50 minutes. It is recorded. And as always, I'll put the link to the webinar on the Facebook group. Oh, one very quick thing, folks. I really would like you, if you can, to post as much as you can on the mentoring group, on the Facebook group, because it really helps everybody else. I do get quite a lot of private messages, and I don't mind that. That's fine. But if we can try and use the group for all of those kind of questions, it means that everybody benefits then, rather than just 1 or 2 people. Okay, so tonight then, back to basics, and that was one of the topics. We had quite a few suggestions. I can't cover them all this evening, and some of which we've already covered anyway. But here's back to basics. So let's go right back. You've heard me say this loads of time, but it's always good to reaffirm and just revisit things. So one strategy. Okay, pick one strategy. Now, I read a lot of books, and I've read about 5 books this month already. Okay, I know it sounds a lot, but I do a lot on Audible, and I do traveling a lot, and sometimes I travel to Peterborough to go to Rob Moore's house. A bit of name drop in there. There you go. I do spend a little bit of time with Rob and Mark in Rob's house, quite a lot, and it's a 3-hour journey there and a 3-hour journey back. And during that time, I listen to audiobooks. So I can get through 2 audiobooks on that journey alone on 2 times speed. So that's why I get through so many. The last book I have literally just read, and I finished it about 2 hours ago, is The Alchemist. Now, I don't know if anybody's read The Alchemist, but I always talk about pick one strategy, do the one thing, and stick with it. And, The Alchemist is full of hidden messages, and one of which is become the master. So no matter what you read, and no matter sort of how many people bang the drum, it's everywhere, and we've got to take on board what everybody else is telling us to do, because success leaves clues. So if you just follow one strategy, folks, okay, please just I know sometimes it gets a bit frustrating when you've got no deals, but that's when you start to look for other things, and that's when you take your eye off the ball, and that's when you start to dilute trying to pick on 2 or 3 or 4 different strategies. Now, I'm not saying to you HMO has to be your strategy. And I know some people are branching out slightly and doing maybe a bit of deal sourcing and stuff, which is fine. but you've got to be very focused on just doing the one thing. So rather than trying to do several things badly, try and do one thing really well and focus on it and get good at it and stick with it until you don't need to do that strategy anymore. Okay. And I talk about the one thing a lot. It's played a really big part in my life, the one thing, because that's literally what we've just done. The one thing, and we are still doing the one thing. We are still doing HMOs. I've still got projects at the moment that are live. I'll do a video walkthrough with you probably in a few weeks when the next project is ready, but I'm still under refurb on a 7-bed HMO, so we're still actively doing it ourselves as well. So I am practicing what I preach. Okay. And don't be led what others are doing. Now, you go on the Facebook forums. Here's the thing, folks, okay? Facebook forums, minimize the amount of groups that you're involved with, because not only are they distracting for you, a lot of the time they're very negative and based on opinion. And a lot of the time that opinion is not factual and it's incorrect. So don't be led by what other people are doing. Let them crack on. Let them do what they want to do, but don't let them take you off course, okay? It's really important. So what I'm going to suggest you do is only be involved in the Facebook groups that you get value from. I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. You might not get value from my group. This is not a plug to just stay in my group. But the more people you ask, if you ask 100 people, you'll get 100 different answers. And I think you already know that, yeah? So don't be led by what other people are doing. Let them crack on. Do what you want to do, okay? Go where your legend takes you. Again, referring back to the alchemist. Go to, don't live somebody else's journey. It's your journey, not theirs. So you've got to be really, really focused and do what is right for you, okay? I call it the squirrel syndrome. Call it what you want, but don't be distracted by squirrels running past. Let them run past. Let them go to their destination. Don't let them take you away from yours. Okay. I think I invented the squirrel syndrome. Actually, it's probably I've never heard anybody else refer to it. So get good at what you do, okay? And then when you're good at it, and you will, folks, life isn't. It's a struggle sometimes, but if you keep pushing and you remain tenacious and persistent, you will get to where you want to be, because you absolutely will. But sometimes things are thrown at us and they distract us. Sometimes you can become demotivated because you've got no deals, or the market has shifted, or the government have put something else in. But all we do is we need to adapt. We adapt and then we alter and we carry on, because you're not on your own here, and everyone else will be going through the same thing. And when the government decide to make, I don't know, let's say they change the licensing laws for HMOs, well, that's going to put loads of people off, and it's going to put loads of people out of the market because it's too difficult for them. So we come along as professional investors and we take those deals and we repurpose them and we make them work for us. All right. So look at it as a positive, not a negative. Become a master, we've done that, and it will pay dividends in the future, folks, okay? Now, I got criticised on my last course that I did, the last classroom course, only by one person from the feedback, and I'm going to share that with you. That was that I spoke too much about myself and my own journey during the training. And I was quite surprised by that, because it's structured in the way that I want to motivate everybody and I want to show you that you can do it. And by giving real life case studies, it shows you that it is possible, and we are still doing it now. And the last deal that we bought, it was a lease option. It didn't cost us anything. Okay, so this we took it over in November, I think, no, December. I paid £1,000 deposit, and that was the lease option for the consideration. And in total, it's going to cost about £35,000 in order to get the property to the standard that's required. So it's cost me a little bit with the refurb, but the great thing about this property, it's going to cash flow thousands a month. Now, the very worst case scenario is going to give me £1,000. The best case scenario, because we're looking for planning to do a service let, so we separated it and we've got a separate flat, it'll bring me £3,000 a month in profit. So either way, if we don't get planning, it's not an issue, because we know that we can still cash flow it. But this was November or December last year when we found it. So the deals are there. They are absolutely there, and I'm living proof of it. And, I think it's important that I share my story with you because it's real, yeah? And, I bring in £40,000 a month in rent, All right, that's just the rental side of things. Obviously we've got other spin-off companies, that we do as well. But that's just in rent. 40 grand a month in rent, folks. It works, honestly. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is just lift your spirits up a little bit. Tell you that forget what everybody else tells you. We live on an island, and there's a shortage of land because we're not building any more land. So going forwards, the market might peak and trough, and it's likely to continue to do that. But we're not building any more land, but the population is increasing all the time. So let's do the maths, yeah? So we're always going to have a shortage of housing, regardless of how we look at it. And that's where the model of HMOs will remain to be strong, provided we do it properly. Okay, so I'm hoping you're getting all this. I know I'm sort of ranting down, I'm staring at my computer screen, shouting, and if anybody walks past, I'm sat at the office at home now, so if anybody walks past my window, they think I'm going a little bit loopy, but I am really passionate about this, and I want this to work for all of you. So, moving on. The market is not saturated, okay? Yes, things do get hard at certain points, yeah, but the market is not saturated. Now, I don't know, because I know not everybody goes onto the Facebook group every day, but I posted about 2 weeks ago in the Facebook forum about 25 deals, because I did it for you. So I got George is what he works in the office, to go on to Rightmove and Zoopla and found anything that could be or already is a HMO in about 15 different areas of the country. And we posted it on there. Now, I'm not expecting you to come back and say, great, thanks, I've got a deal for that. I'm not deal sourcing here. But what I'm trying to do here is prove a point to say that there are deals out there. Okay. Now, out of those 20 deals that I posted, I'm damn sure that at least 5% of them would work and they would stack up. I don't know whether they were motivated sellers. I don't know any of that. But what I've done is literally gone on to, well, I haven't gone on, George has gone on to Rightmove and found HMOs that are already existing HMOs in certain areas, just to show you that the deals are there and they come on a daily basis. We lost a great deal today. We found a deal that would have been absolutely perfect for us on Friday. We got in touch with them this morning to go and view it, and we were almost pretty sure we would buy it anyways, 180,000. We were quite convinced that we would buy it because we know the area, we know the market, and it's gone. It's gone already. So it only came on Friday and it's gone. I was a bit gutted with that because it would have been a great deal. But that just goes to show that deals come on the market daily. You've got to be sharp, you've got to get up early, but they do come on the market daily, but you've got to be looking for them, because if you're not looking for them, you're not going to find them. Hope everyone's still with me here. I'm just going to open up my question bar just to make sure that I'm not talking to myself. Just give me a bit of feedback, folks. Please make sure you can still hear me and you're still with me, because I don't be talking to myself to an empty screen. Otherwise, we've got a little bit of an issue. So if you just type into the box, yes, hi, yes, still with you, lovely. Okay, folks, great. You don't need no more. I've got loads in. Just come in on that. Okay. So, and as I say, we don't do get rich quick. Okay. Now I know I talk about rent roll and stuff, but that's been built up over a period of time. It wasn't a 10-minute thing. Okay, we're not going to become millionaires overnight. And when my book's released, the very first paragraph of my book, I'm going to share it with you, bit of an exclusive, because it says on there, did you buy this book to get rich overnight? Because if you did, put it down now and go off and join a Ponzi scheme. Because we don't do that, and we don't teach, and we don't show, and we don't mentor on how to get rich quick. Okay, now for some people, the journey is quicker than others, but we're all in very different places. Some people are working full time and have got very demanding jobs, others not so. And obviously that's all going to show, and it's all going to have a very, it's all going to have an impact in your investing journey, okay? So don't worry about this, about getting rich quick, because it's not going to happen, okay? But it is sustainable, and if we do it properly, then we've got it going forwards forever. Okay, now this is back to basics, folks, and I did say that because this was one of the requests that we had. So I'm going to whiz through this because most of you know this anyway, but some of you maybe are a little bit stuck now, and this might be just a welcome refresher for you in terms of pushing you forward. So, of course, pick your area, very first thing that we do, and don't venture out too far. Now, I think times are changing, and you might have to venture out just that little bit further, perhaps, than we normally advise. But as long as you don't have to travel 2 hours or 3 hours in a car to get to your portfolio because things have gone wrong, let me tell you about some things that have gone wrong this week for me. So this week for me, let's have a think. Okay, the big block of flats that we bought in December, the 28 flats. I don't often get calls from tenants, as you know, but I got a call at 4 a.m. one night last week to say that someone has smashed up the internal glass door. So I didn't do anything with it at that time. I got on the phone the next morning, did some investigation work, found out that one of the tenants came home drunk, got aggressive with another tenant, had an argument, smashed up the front door. Yeah, so I needed to go there. I needed to sort that out. And I think my pointer here is that, if that was 2 hours away or 3 hours away, it'd be very difficult for me to go and do that. But because it's only 10 minutes from where we are, I went there, I dealt with it, it was sorted out, and I came away. So that's all been sorted. So, try to stay as close as you can to your investing area. Now, of course, rental demands. Rental demands obviously will fluctuate depending on the time of year. I personally have just I've shaved off £10 a month off 7 rooms that I had available last week. And this is how fickle people are, okay? So you can work out the methodology behind this, because I can't. I was advertising rooms for £400 a month with no fee, okay? And I didn't get any takers for a while. I took £10 off and advertising for £390, but I put a fee on of £150, and I sold all the rooms. Now, it is crazy because I'm actually making more money, but obviously people don't see it like that. So, it's about sort of marketing it and positioning it in the right way. Just because I had it under the £400 threshold, people saw it as being more of a bargain. And I've sold out. So I've only got 2 empty rooms at the moment. So rental demand, you've got to play with it. And you've got to make sure that you are doing it better than everybody else. Checking Article 4 and licensing, you all know that, very important. And check to see what everybody else is doing. Scour around the market in your area. Have a look on Spare Room, have a look on Rightmove, talk to the agents. Find out what other investors are doing. Find out or try and monitor their rooms on Spare Room to see how long it's taking them to sell them. Okay? And to say, we don't take risks when it comes to investing area. We make sure that everything stacks. And you know what? I posted this last week on the discussion group, that make sure that even though the government minimum standards are what they are, that doesn't mean to say that that's your local council standards, because that's the minimum. So your local council can put anything on top of that they want to. And I was speaking to somebody last week who tells me that their area of investment minimum room sizes are 9.5 square meters for single occupancy. Now that's huge, but they can do it, yeah, because it's they hold the cards. The council are very powerful. So make sure that even though there are minimum standards that we all know and adhere to, that doesn't mean to say that that's what your council operates. You need to make sure that you've got their schedule and you adhere to their schedule. Okay, very important, because what I don't want you to do is go off and do it to the minimum standard, then find out when you have your inspection that you can't trade it as a HMO. Check out the local employment, very important. If you're going into areas that have got, really high levels of unemployment, and places perhaps in the valleys in Wales and Cardiff and that area that people, are actively still investing in, but maybe, ex-mining communities, etc., then you need to, work out really whether or not it's going to work for you. Yes, the property might be cheap and it might be very attractive to look at, but are you going to rent it? Okay. Universities, always good for universities. You can get some great house shares, get some great, lumps of students. Is there a university in the area? And close to public transport. Now let's talk about marketing, okay? Everything we do, folks, is marketing. No matter what you do on a daily basis, you are constantly marketing, whether it's you, your company, the brand that you work for, whether you're looking to position yourself at networking meetings, etc. It's all marketing. And, like anything, marketing rules, they kind of change, and it's dictated by what's happening in the demographic in your area at the time. So let me ask you something. Okay, now I know quite a few people are saying, well, still can't find deals, etc. How many marketing campaigns do you have? And be honest with me, how many marketing campaigns do you have out there right now? Okay, so, literally right now. So if you want to buy houses, if you want to get properties, what are you actively doing at the moment today to bring those properties to you? So be honest with me, okay? So, give me some feedback in the comments bars. So have you got a marketing campaign out? Have you got a leaflet campaign out? Have you got postcards in windows? Have you got direct to vendor landlord letters out there right now? Are you networking? So those are the biggest 5 marketing tips in order for us to get houses. So how many of those 5 are you actively doing at the moment? Loads of people are putting 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay, so let me ask you something. How many houses are you going to get if you've got no campaign out there? So when people are coming to me saying, Rick, I've not got any houses, there are no deals coming in. How are you going to get deals if you've got no marketing campaign out there? Because I can't answer that question for you folks. Yeah? You're not, are you? Because you're not going to get a knock on the door tomorrow with a motivated landlord that says, oh, hi, I understand that you're a local property investor and I've got 5 houses that I might want to give to you. It's not going to happen. Okay, if you want to make a change, you have to make a change. You've got to be proactive. You've got to do this. I can't do it for you. I give you all the tips. You can even have my letter. It's already, or one of them, is already posted on the academy, on the online academy. You can use that. I'm absolutely fine with it. It's not an issue. But you've got to do this, folks, okay? Just by listening to webinars and reading books is not going to bring your houses in. Okay, got to be a bit hard with you. I'm your mentor. It's my job to do that, and I want you to be successful. But you've got to help yourself. Everyone that's got marketing campaigns out there, and there weren't many that have come back through. I'm not going to name and shame anybody, but are you actively following up on your leads? If you're getting leads in, what are you doing with them? Are you calling them back? Are you calling them back in time? When you're calling them back, are you getting the necessary information? Are you following it up with a viewing? Okay, and have you got a follow-up box? And for those of you who don't know what a follow-up box is, go back to month 1 on the online academy and watch it again. All right, because you should all be doing this now. At this stage, many of you now are into month 8 or 9, or at least most of you are into month 2 or 3. So you should already have these tools in place, folks. It's all about the numbers. Okay, I'm going to talk about numbers in a second. You've got to have an active campaign out there. And when I do my one-to-one mentoring, and this isn't a pitch for mentoring, it's full. I don't have any opportunities for that right now anyway, but I talk about 3 circle campaigns. And you should have 3 areas. Now that could be just, you could just hive off your main landlord list into 3 separate areas. But an area 1, you have your campaign out. For example, on the 1st of April, area 1 campaign goes out. And then on the 1st of May, area 2 campaign goes out. And then on the 1st of June, area 3 campaign goes out. And by that time, you've gone through 2 months since your last campaign for area 1. So then at area 1, campaign number 2 goes out the month after, etc. And it continues to roll. Okay? You have to have a campaign out there all of the time whilst you're in an acquisition phase. Okay? So I hope you're getting all this, folks. I know it is back to basics. Okay, but sometimes, as I say, you do need that level of, let's just look at it again and let's look where we can help you starting this if you've not got it out there already. Okay, I'm going to go through this again. Many of you would have seen it. Now, this has changed, and like I said, since the last time you've probably seen this, it's changed. Now, I went to Daniel Priestley's event, and like everybody else, I still invest in my education. And every day is a school day, as they say. And when we look at this, now for those of you who haven't seen this, this is the National Sales Executive Association statistics for marketing. And I'm going to go through it with you. Just going to take a very quick slurp of water, folks. Bear with me. Okay, now I do use this a lot, so you probably have seen it before. But it tells 100 truths. Let's look at it from the top. 48% of salespeople don't follow up with any prospects, so that's rubbish. Why would you bother? 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then they stop. 12% of salespeople only make 3 contacts and then they stop. 10% make more than 3 contacts. 2% of sales are made on the first contact, so extremely low. So if you put out a campaign and get a sale on the first campaign, then it's more luck than judgment. It's not likely it's going to happen. 3% of sales are made on the second contact. So if you look at this as marketing campaigns, your first contact will be your first letter. Your second contact will be your second letter, etc. You get the point. But look at how this jumps. 5% of sales are made on the third contact, 10% on the fourth. Now look at this, 80% of sales are made between the fifth and the 12th contact. That's huge. That's a massive jump. So if you're tenacious and persistent and you get to the 5th to 12th contact, that's where you're going to start getting leads. Okay, that's when you become successful. That's when you have to keep pushing till you get to that point, then your deals will start to come in. Now, they used to say 7 touches to a sale. Now, apparently, according to Daniel Priestley, people are getting a little bit more fussy, and it's now 10. All right, but that still fits in with this because it's between 5 and 12. But it's a huge jump, 80%. Okay, so if you haven't seen that before, by all means, take a screenshot. I've got a picture of this in my office on the wall. And sometimes, when I get a little bit demotivated, perhaps if I'm doing a campaign, then I look at it and think, you know what, where am I on this list? Well, I'm only at maybe the third contact. So don't expect to get any results, yeah? And I'm selling courses. I do a lot of courses. We don't make any money selling courses, folks, at all. We break even. But sometimes, it's really, really hard trying to fill rooms. But then I look at the list and say, well, you know what, we've only had 3 contacts. Things will pick up on the 4th and the 5th and the 6th, etc. And I've never failed to have a full room on any course by, motivating myself with this model. Okay, so I hope you find that useful. Does the house work? So let's look at this. Is it already HMO? Now, if it's already HMO, here's something, write this down. If it's already HMO and it's already licensed, it doesn't mean that it's still to current standards. And I'm going to tell you something, and I know this from experience. Again, I'm going to refer back to the latest acquisition because it's still an ongoing project. So when you buy an existing HMO, you can't transfer the license. You already know that. You have to apply for your own. So when we bought this block of flats, I had to make sure that the application was posted as soon as we'd completed in order to be compliant. Otherwise, I'd have been running effectively a 28-bedroom HMO. Even though the flats, okay, they still had to be licensed for lots of reasons. I haven't got enough time to go into the deal tonight. So we put the application in. It cost us lots of money, and that was fine, not an issue. But of course, then that triggers the HMO inspection. Now, because the property was already licensed, we didn't think there would be any issues. Well, I was completely wrong and a little bit naive, really, for me, because the HMO officer picked up a lot of uncompliant items. So the moral of this story is, and if you can learn from my learnings, don't automatically assume that the house is licensed, that it is compliant, because a lot of times landlords will have a schedule attached to their HMO license telling them that they've got to complete certain works within a certain time scale. And when you take on properties, they will not always disclose that to you because they know it might put you off buying the deal. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So really what I'm saying is do your own due diligence. And if it's already a HMO, then the likelihood is you won't have to spend as much money, but you still need to check to make sure the property is compliant with the current standards and the current legislation. Okay. Does it require a license? You already know that. Does it require planning? Really important. What's the cash flow? So more importantly, are you going to make any money? So this isn't a deal stacking presentation tonight. You know how to stack deals, but are you going to make any money? What's your return on investment? And you know how to work that out. I've added there anyway. If you're not sure, to work out your return on investment, it's your annual profit divided by your initial investment times 100. It's a really simple equation. What's a good return for you? So we work on anything from 15% upwards, up to infinity, really, because, with the lease options that we do, when they pay for themselves, then they're infinite returns. And, do you have any money left in? It's not always possible to get all of your money out. However, and, going back to what I said before, I keep referring to my experiences, but that's the only way that I can show you how this works. Out of the whole of our portfolio at the moment, I've only got one property that owes me money, and we're not refinancing that yet. We could, and we could get the money out. But, leaving money in a deal is really entirely up to you. Depends on how many houses you want. It depends on how much money you're prepared to leave in. So leaving money in deals is not always bad. That's what I'm kind of trying to say. It's not such, people say, oh, is it money in deals? Is it money out deal? It's not always bad. It really just depends on how much money you've got to spend. And, if you only need 4 houses, and you're quite prepared to put £120,000 in to leave it. Now, don't forget, that's not dead money. It's not lost money. You've got it in equity, which is even better. So, it's whatever works for you. And I'm trying to sort of get across that it's not always possible to get all your money out. And it's not so bad sometimes if you don't, provided you have got enough money to continue investing. So, I'm kind of being a bit disruptive, going against what a lot of people teach. Now, we do like to get most of our money out, but you get to the point where if you don't want any more houses, you're going to pay down, haven't you? At some point, you're going to have to pay down your portfolio. Either you will, or if you leave it to your family, then they're going to do it. So, at some point, we have to have the end in mind. And it's all good and well having, interest-only mortgages, but you've got to pay it off eventually. You've got to have an exit plan. So, to begin with, yes, interest only because it's cheaper. But don't forget, in 15 years, usually, because most interest-only mortgages are around about 15 years. Some are only 5 years, folks. So you've got to be very careful with that as well. So you need to know exactly what you're signing. But you've got to have a plan. Now, if the market grows, and if you're able to refinance and then, take on traditional lending afterwards, great. Or you could even sell it. But, you've got to start with the end in mind. We've covered this. We take out most of our money when we buy the house. We always buy from motivated sellers and make sure that you can buy below market value and have enough to refinance your money back out of the deal. Okay, we've covered most of that. So we've done that. Okay, this is the ensuite argument, folks. And this is always very popular. And it was I was involved in a discussion yesterday about this again on Facebook. Ensuite versus non-ensuite is completely and entirely area specific when it comes to separate banding for council tax. Now, it's very subjective to the valuation officer, because we have got a flat that has got 2 rooms, a kitchen and no bathroom. Okay, that's not separately banded. We've also got the exact same flat in a different block, but they've separately banded it. Don't ask me why. I've not challenged it yet. We can't, because we've got bigger fish to fry, but they're exactly the same floor plan, exactly the same amenities, and they've been banded completely differently. Now, that shows me that it's subjective. Now, if you're going to put en suites in, okay, now this doesn't really matter in London. So in London, where you've got a really high supply and demand, it's not really going to make that much difference because you're going to sell the room anyway. For areas outside of London that are not as easy to sell rooms, en suites will put you head and shoulders above everybody else. But you need to be aware whether or not your local council are going to look at it to single band that room for council tax. Is it going to kill it? It's up to you, because depending on what your single banding is for that area, if it's only £50 or £60, then charge it back to the tenant. Don't let it kill the deal. Charge it back to the tenant. If the room's good enough, the tenant won't mind paying it. Okay, so we advertise the rooms as exclusive. We don't pay bills on this big block of flat, so we always charge it back. So don't let it kill it, but you need to do your own due diligence like anything. En suites attract more, they sell faster, and we generally keep the tenants longer because, put yourself in their position. If you were staying in, the old style bed and breakfast, we all remember them, and they never used to have en suites, and you had to go and share a bathroom with complete strangers. It was awful. We wouldn't do that now, would we? So put yourself in their position. If you had to live in a shared house, you wouldn't want to share a bathroom. We all like our own privacy. So en suites, I'm a complete advocate of, and I will continue to do whilst we don't have single banding. We get about £50 a month more, folks, for en suites as well. So, for something that costs us, let's say, £2,000 to put in, it's soon going to pay back, over the period of time. Okay, now I posted this last week. What do we put in the rooms? I want to go through this with you very quickly before we go to the Q&A, because it seems to be a bit of a good topic of conversation at the moment. This is our list. This is what we do. Not necessarily going to work for you, but it gives you a good idea of what we include in all of our HMOs. So what do we put in the rooms? Well, a good quality mattress. So we want something that isn't going to break and something that's going to be nice and comfortable to sleep on. So we don't go down the budget route. We go about mid-range. So we pay about £150 for a mattress. Always a double bed where we can for single occupancy, because people like to sleep in a double bed. So if your room is big enough, then we put a double bed in. And if we can't put a double bed in, we'll put a 4-foot bed in and we'll advertise it as a 4-foot double. And then, of course, if we can't and we can only get a single in, then we will go for singles. But the single rooms don't tend to sell as well as the double rooms. We include a chest of drawers, a bedside table, a wardrobe, and we put metal frame beds in. Now, they don't look the best, but they're so durable. Now, with divan beds, be careful because they break. And especially if you've got ones with drawers in, the drawers break. And if anybody's ever dealt with divan beds, you really can't repair them. Once they're broken, they're broken. The lining will get ripped and will start to look unsightly. So we go for metal frame beds. Now, every now and again, we have to go around and tighten them up because they do become loose sometimes. When they're dressed, they look fine. And the great thing is that they've got space underneath for storage of luggage. And they're so durable. We've not had any break in, probably the last one that broke was about 3 years ago when somebody damaged it maliciously because we were evicting him at the time. Now, we didn't used to put desks in, but we found that tenants were asking if they could bring their own desks. And of course, they weren't matching. And when they left, they generally left them in the room. And it started to become a problem. So we bit the bullet and we decided we're going to put a desk and chair in. So we put desks in and we started to put fabric cushioned chairs in, really nice. And we learned very quickly that the fabric on the foam cushion got really bobbly really quickly. And after about 6 months, it looked horrible. It looked really tatty. So now we don't put those chairs in. We put hard plastic chairs in because they're going to last forever. So if you understand, when fabric goes kind of bobbly and it just really doesn't look very nice. So if you can learn from my mistakes, they won't last very long. So we put a nice desk and a chair in as well. Now, we still put digital TV points in. And I don't know really whether or not people still use television points in their rooms, because I know most people now will probably stream over an iPad or a computer, but we still do it. I'm not sure going forwards, if we decide to do any more HMOs, we're going to do that. But I mean, maybe give me some feedback. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, folks. Do you think people still use digital TV points in their rooms? Do you think there's still a market for it? Be interested to know your thoughts really on that. What else do we do? Carpet. So in our rooms, in the bedrooms that we refurbish, we use a good quality carpet with a good quality underlay. In the communal areas, we do hard flooring. So in the kitchen, we'll put really good quality lino in the kitchen and in the hallway. But the stairs, landing, and bedrooms, we always put carpet because it makes it feel more cozy, it's warmer, and it's less noisy as well. I mean, that's our kind of reasoning behind it. And good quality curtains. So the curtains, obviously, it's all got to match the rest of the room, but we use blackout curtains. And that's a really good selling point. Just going to take another swig of water, folks. Just bear with me, please. Yeah, we get our blackout curtains from Dunelm Mill. They're not particularly cheap, but it's a really great upsell for people that work shifts. So we always make sure we put blackout curtains in. And some nice pictures or mirrors. Mirrors are quite neutral, aren't they? Because pictures are very individual. You either like them or you hate them. But if you put a mirror in, everybody likes a mirror. So we've kind of gone from pictures now, and we're doing more mirrory type things. Stay away from magnolia, folks. Now, magnolia's had its day. Nice feature walls, neutral colours, or even really bright colours. It doesn't matter. But I think a nice, bright, attractive room with a nice feature wall. It doesn't cost any more to do feature wall. It's just a different tub of paint that you can use throughout the rest of the house. Bathrooms. Every tenant gets an individual bathroom cabinet. Now, we get these from Argos. I think they're about £20 from Argos. The ones with the little mirrors on the front, little white cabinets. And if it's a 5-bedroom HMO, and if we've got 2 bathrooms, for example, we'll put 3 in one and 2 in another. So it just a little bit of a touch on top of what everybody else does, and it stops the tenant having to travel with a little toilet bag or a soap bag every time they want to go to the bathroom. They can store their things in their own individual cabinet. A good bin. bath mats, really important, because tenants, they'll just let the water flow from the shower, they'll get out and they'll drip all over the place. So we put some really nice bath mats down, but you'll also find that tenants won't clean the bath mats. So your cleaner will have to put them in the wash as part of their fortnightly cycle, because the tenants generally don't do them. A good quality shower, depending obviously if you've got an electric one or not, but something that, it looks like, if it's good quality, it'll last a lot longer, and it will save you having to go down the repairs and renewals route in the future. And of course, a mirror. Good quality sink and toilet. Now, you can get the budget value ones from B&Q for £50 each. Don't get those, because they're rubbish, they're crap. Pardon the pun. They're not good, and they're probably not suitable. So, get a good quality sink and a good quality toilet that's going to last you, at least 4 or 5 years, or if not longer. In the living room, we always provide a flat screen TV. That's the only TV we provide. We don't put them in rooms. And again, we wait for offers to come out. You get some great quality TVs from places like Asda and Tesco, and they always seem to be on offer. We never spend more than £200 for a TV, and you can get some really good, you don't need anything more than that, to be fair. And we mount it on the wall, and we chasten the wires, and it looks really good in the living room on the feature wall. We always provide leather couches, so 2 nice leather, sometimes, not always, reclining if we can. Nice coffee table. Be careful with the coffee table. Don't spend too much, because the chances are it will get stained. And again, curtains or blinds, and a nice big clock. A nice big clock somewhere in the living room. The bigger the better. It's a nice feature. And if you can squeeze it in, we put a mirror in as well. Now, you're going to have somewhere to put your internet, your router. So a little cabinet somewhere nice and discreet in the corner for your internet and your router to stand on. And again, feature wall. Kitchens, this is going to be very, very much led by your local schedule from your council. Here's what we provide, and this suits us for our council, but you need to make sure you check to see if it suits you for yours. So this is based on a 6-bedroom HMO. We have 2 stand-up fridge freezers, and then we have a separate shelf in the fridge for every tenant, and we use a label printer, and we print the number of the room that represents the shelf. So they'll have number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there's no confusion, and everybody gets their own individual space in the fridge. Ample kitchen cupboards. Now, that will be defined on your local schedule. You need to check that. We have at least 1 cupboard per tenant, and sometimes we get spare as well, so we can put the pots and pans in. Enough pots and pans for 6 tenants. Now, when you do this, folks, don't go for the cheap range, the Asda value that you have to put together yourself, because they will literally last a month, and either the handles will come off or they'll go rusty. And so we go for stainless steel. So really good quality. We don't mind spending a bit more on the kitchen stuff because we want it to last. Good quality pots and pans, a wok, a frying pan, 5 saucepans, minimum of 5 saucepans, 3 baking trays, good quality. Don't go for the pound shop ones. You want some really good quality baking trays. Cutlery will go missing quite quickly because tenants will take it to their room and they won't bring it back. But we initially, on the first, what's the right word here? So when we let the house out from being a new property, so for the first lot of tenants into the house, we will provide cutlery. All right. They also get 1 main course dinner plate per tenant, a side plate, a bowl, and a coffee mug. And we provide that only once. If they break it, they have to replace it themselves. A nice big wine glass. Excuse me. Good quality microwave. Again, don't go cheap on the microwave because it will go rusty and they're rubbish. So we spend about 70, maybe £80 on a microwave. So it's mid-range, it's not the value range, and they will last a lot longer. And of course, the pizza wheel. Got to get the pizza wheel because they'll complain if you don't. Even the mature tenants like a pizza wheel. And we also provide just 1 set of cleaning materials as a one-off. So we have Mr. Muscle, we've got cloths, washing up liquid, etc. Now, I'll tell you what we do. We provide ongoing bin bags. Because it was a problem for us, tenants weren't replacing the bin bag rolls, and then we're just chucking their rubbish directly in the bin. and then of course they couldn't empty it because there were no bin bags in there. Then we used to get calls for tenants complaining. So to prevent that from happening, it's a dead easy fix. When the cleaner goes in every 2 weeks, she takes a roll of bin bags, she charges us back for it. So for the sake of £3 a fortnight per house, it's worth every penny. 2 bins in the kitchen. You need, go back. You need 2 bins in the kitchen. You need a recycling bin and you need a general waste bin. Make sure they're big enough and they're suitable. Tenants, I didn't realise I'd left this slide in. Okay, I'm going to whiz through the tenants because I'm quite keen to go on to question and answers before 8 o'clock. You'll choose your demographic. You know the demographics, folks. This is back to month 1 on the academy, so you should already know this. LHA, blue collar, white collar student. We go for professionals because that works for us. It doesn't mean to say that they're any easier to manage. Hence my story of the smashed window last week. That's the second time in the last 2 months it's happened. So I'm going to whiz through the tenants. That's the tenant systems and the rent. So how much rent you'll charge obviously will be defined by your local area. But at the back of YPM magazine, they do have the average rents for the whole of the country. So it's worth having a look at that. So folks, wow, I didn't realise it was 10 to 8 already. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that was useful for you. Now I always put out on the on the forum, ideas for the webinars, and I always go with the majority of what people are asking for. So tonight was back to basics. So I hope you found that useful. And as I said, folks, earlier, it is about you. You have to take action to make this work. It's not going to happen on its own. So, right then, folks, I'm going to go through 10 minutes of questions. So, any questions you've got, please whack them into the answer box. I'll try and get around to all of them. And I'm going to start from the very top. Let's have a look. Hoping everyone can still hear me. I've just had a note to say my audio isn't working properly. I hope everybody's still here. Okay, so Simon, what is your total spend on average kitting out for a 6 bed? Very good question. Usually we say for the house pack, and the house pack would include all of that I've just explained to you. Now we get most of all of that stuff we get from Asda usually because it's really good and it's really good value. We don't like to spend any more than £1,000 on all of that. Okay, that doesn't include bed linen. Now you want to consider bed linen on a new HMO because it's very difficult when you've got 6 rooms to show people because tenants would like to look at all of them. So you kind of have to dress all of the rooms and then you can offer the bed linen to them if they want to buy it as an extra. So you will have a little bit of surplus of bed linen to begin with, but around about £1,000 for what we call the house pack. We don't like to spend any more than that. White goods, I didn't mention washing machines, did I? We put a washing machine and, where possible, a vented tumble dryer in every property. It's not always possible to put a vented dryer in, so sometimes we have to go for a condenser dryer. Okay, condenser dryers are pretty much easy. They're easy to use as long as the tenants manage them properly, manage them correctly. So I hope that answers your question, Simon. Can you give us some feedback, folks? Just let me know that you are still with me. I'm getting lots of pop-up menus here on my computer, so I'm hoping that you're all still with me. If you just type in yes, you can hear me, so I know that you're still there. Thank you, David. Okay, great. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kate. Okay, great. Lovely. Okay, so Simon, hope that answered for you. Mark's put tub chairs. No, they're not tub chairs in the rooms, in the bedrooms, Mark. They are office desk chairs, but they're plastic. So they're quite hard-wearing plastic. I can't really sort of give you an example without getting onto the internet, but they're not tub chairs, no. We don't use tub chairs for the bedrooms. Yoko, could I have the presentation file, please? I missed some of the screen. I don't know what you mean, Yoko. Do you mean the link? Well, we always record the webinars anyway, so tomorrow at some point I'll be releasing the link to the whole of the webinar. I think that's what you mean, Yoko, but yeah, if it's not what you mean, please let me know. David, how are you planning to pay down your mortgages? That's a very good question. Do you put aside every month? Okay, so we are currently in a phased process of changing our products to repayment. That's the best way I can answer that. It really depends on the structure of the deal. We've got properties that are worth over £1 million, and properties that are worth just 150,000. So it really depends on the deal and how long we've got the product for. But at the moment, we are about to begin a restructure where we're going to go into repayment. Now, for the ones that we're not going to go into repayment, we will overpay anyway. So we'll overpay by a couple of £100 here and there, usually, maybe a couple of £100 a month, just in order to bring that down. So I want you all to be very aware of, it's a really, really good strategy to keep the costs down on going interest only. It's not wrong. And, maybe it's the only way you can do it to begin with, but you have to have your exit plan in sight. And at some point, you are going to have to pay that mortgage down. Hope that answers that question, David. Roger, sorry you're a bit late. That's okay. That was a while ago, I think. You've done nothing but sleep for the last 3 days because you've got man flu. Oh, Roger, I'm sorry about that. I hope you release a copy so I can catch up. Yeah, absolutely. I think I just covered that. But nice for you to join us with man flu, Roger. And I know that's not easy because I've done it myself. Steve, dozens of leads from Southampton letters. You know what? That's brilliant. And it's really good to hear, Steve. When you say dozens, a dozen. Okay, so it's 12. So Steve has just done a marketing campaign, folks, okay, and to a slightly different area than we normally target. Steve's on my one-to-one program, by the way. I'm sure he doesn't mind me telling everybody. So Steve is, he does get a bit of me time. And we did a campaign. Steve wants to come back to the UK soon, and he's done a campaign in Southampton. So Steve telling me here now that he's got a dozen leads in from that campaign. And one of the leads sounds great. Excellent, Steve. I look forward to talking to you about that when we catch up next. So well done. So it just goes to show, folks, that the strategies that we teach are still very much working. David saying he's got landlord letters out and he's networking and he's visiting agents. Well done, David. Fantastic. Can't ask you to do more than that. Make sure that you follow through with any leads, okay? Steve, Steve just put again, looking at Exeter as well, and we're doing letters in Exeter. Excellent, well done. Simon, you're okay because you're getting married, that's fine. Simon's on my one-to-one program as well. Simon's just put on there, he's going to start a new campaign soon, but Simon and Sam are getting married next week after next, so that's okay. Kate, hi Kate. So competitive in some areas, yeah. Also far away. Should you use a sourcer and pay a fee? I think I've had almost every webinar we kind of talk about sources. So it's a good question, Kate, and thank you for asking for it. Should you use a sourcer? Yes, you can. I mean, it really depends on what you're looking to achieve, but be very careful because I'm not saying everyone's the same, but sources are out to make money, and make sure that they are real deals. It sounds like someone off the telly now when I say that, but make sure that the deal is real and it matches your criteria. So you can use a sourcer, but really before you part with any cash, you need to break the deal down and you need to make sure that you get what you pay for, because sometimes you just buy a deal that you could perhaps go out and source yourself. But I do understand what you're saying, and it is a route to market, but go in with your eyes wide open. All right, so I hope that helps. Roger, that's a big question. I need to get a contract made up for a 6-bedroom property that I'm hopeful of getting completed in 2 weeks. I'm letting to a company on a 3-year agreement, and then we'll add the tenant with social needs. Can you suggest a solicitor? Yes, I can. So the best thing to do, Roger, can I ask you, can you please post that question in the private mentoring forum, and then I will give you the exact details of the people you need to talk to. And that way, everybody else gets the benefit as well that aren't on tonight's webinar, if that's okay. But I've got probably 2 people that I can recommend for you that can do that for you, no problem at all. So I hope that helps. No problem, Roger. You're welcome. Kate, you're very welcome. Steve, lots of thanks coming in. No problem. Dave, you're welcome. Kate, you're welcome. Folks, I think that's just about going to wrap it up. Almost bang on time. So I think the webinars that we're doing earlier now, 7 to 8, are more attractive for most people because it doesn't ruin the whole of your evening. So I hope you found tonight useful, folks. I will be posting the link onto the forum. I am away tomorrow on site and I don't have internet, so I'm going to be away for the next 3 days. So if you do need to contact me, it'll have to be via email. And thank you all very much for listening tonight, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.